So after a pretty bad stretch here, the Lakers finally get right with a win against the Portland Trail Blazers. A game in which LeBron James did not play. Now, I'm not going to say anything crazy here. I'm not going off on a limb saying the Lakers are better without LeBron. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is they're trying to accommodate their two stars that need different things. And we're simply at the point where the Lakers shouldn't be accommodating LeBron James. I know that's crazy to say, but they need to be building around the strengths of AD. One thing the Lakers have been doing all year is switching. They switch almost everything. Part of that is to accommodate a LeBron James. And not just LeBron, right? It's not like D'Lo and Austin Reeves are amazing at getting over screens, so maybe switching helps them as well. But switching takes AD away from the basket, which is not something you want to consistently do. Obviously, you got to do it sometimes, but the Lakers are just giving up on every single screen, dying on every single screen, and switching. Against the Portland Trail Blazers, they didn't do that, which is how AD ends up with a season-high 5 blocks. AD started the year putting up 30 points per game. Now, some of that is on AD. We know he can kind of float off sometimes, but also, to start the year, LeBron James was not at point guard. D'Lo was at point guard. Now, am I saying, oh, D'Lo's a better point guard than LeBron? Absolutely not. But I am saying when LeBron James is at point guard, the offense kind of slows down to a halt. He walks the ball up every single possession. And that environment is much tougher for AD to score in. It's actually tougher for everyone on the team besides LeBron to score in. The Lakers don't have a lot of guys that can go get their own in the half court besides Austin Reeves. And I know we don't think of D'Lo in that light, but he actually does push the pace. And I'm sure you guys have seen this stat going around. I'm not saying it means everything, but D'Lo is the leader in plus minus on the Lakers since the beginning of last year, and it's not particularly close. Since the beginning of last year, D'Lo is a plus 253 when he's on the court. The next highest is Rui at 128, then AD at 104, and LeBron James is at a 91. Again, am I saying D'Lo's better than LeBron? No, but I think a lot of this has to do with his connection with AD. And it's hilarious because everyone says D'Lo is the problem. D'Lo's the problem, yet he's over 100 points better on the court than any other player on the roster over the last 2 years. He can't be the problem. And I don't want this video to come off like I'm being anti-LeBron or anti-JJ Redick, but to me, this is more of a JJ Redick thing than a LeBron thing. I think LeBron will get in line to a certain extent, but he wants Austin at point guard more. He wants LeBron at point guard more. We haven't seen it recently because Austin has been out and LeBron was just out. And JJ Redick knows way more about basketball than I will ever know. And I understand D'Lo is an extremely frustrating player at times, but when you look at this roster, they have a bunch of guys that can't create anything for themselves. So why put one of the only ones you actually have, one of the only real shot creators you have, and tell them go off the ball more? I don't really see that on this team. And again, a big part of that is AD. AD is such an amazing player, but we hit this point every single year where we try to make AD this elite face-up player, elite hub of an offense player, and he's just not that. I understand the numbers look like he is, but he's just not that. And it doesn't provide great offense. Big part of it is he's just okay as a mid-range shooter. Your possession ending up in an AD face-up mid-range jumper is not necessarily what you want to happen, even though sometimes you can tell when he's going to hit him. You can tell when he's in that mode, but that's not a shot you should be trying to get. And also maybe the part that's even more damning is the passing. And I speak about this with Bam all the time. Bam is a good passer when he's stationary, when he has a chance to really survey the field, right? But when he turns and goes to the rim, the ball's going up, the peripherals are not there, and it's the same thing with AD. When he's at the top of the key or the elbow, surveying the field, waiting for a DHO or back cut, like he can make those passes, but once he decides he's going to score, that's all he's going to do, which ends up in a bad shot or a turnover a lot of times. I understand why we feel like AD has to be that type of player. I understand why AD might want to be that type of player, and I'm not saying you never go to him in those situations. Clearly you go to him, but I just wouldn't be making that a staple of my offense. But when you slow the offense down, that's what it turns into. And LeBron James at 40 years old likes to slow the offense down. Even when he was in his prime, he liked to slow the offense down. And that usually just leads to AD gets the ball with 8 seconds left on the clock, has to create something, and it ends up in a fadeaway, which AD is not good at those shots. Even though it seems like he would be, he's not good at those. So basically what I'm saying is AD and LeBron are at points in their careers where they need different things. Now, it's always not been like the most seamless fit. But, you know, the championship year, they had elite role players, they had elite defense around them to the point where it didn't really matter. And also, bubble AD was a real thing where those plays were what you wanted, right? An AD mid-range jumper in the bubble was a little bit different than it's been since the bubble. So you were able to live with those plays a lot more. Also, LeBron James was 4 or 5 years younger, where he was pushing the ball more in transition. And LeBron is still an amazing transition player. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the in-between transition and half court, right? Like that, the pace is really what I'm talking about. Getting into your actions with a little bit of pace can change so much. And again, we don't think of D'Lo as the pace guy, but on this team, he kind of is. And I'm not gonna lie, I do have a soft spot for D'Lo. I do try to see the good in D'Lo, but it's not really a D'Lo conversation. It's more about AD. We've seen the best version of AD, at least in my eyes, that 1 year with Rondo, or the 1 year they beat the Trailblazers, right? They swept the Trailblazers. That's probably the best, well, maybe the bubble version's best version, but also he had Rondo there. AD is just not his peers, and that's okay, right? He's not Jokic, he's not Embiid, he's not Giannis. He's not that level of a playmaker. He needs to be set up. And LeBron James at this point in his career is not doing those things to really set up AD. He's giving him the ball for sure, but he's kind of just giving him the ball, telling him to go to work. And I don't think that's what you want from AD. LeBron's not really getting 2 feet in the paint like he used to. Of course he's not. He's not pushing the ball like he used to. Of course he's not. He's 40 years old. So again, as we go through this cycle of you gotta trade D'Lo, are you replacing that element of it? Because I like Reeves. He's not that level of a playmaker. It's kind of like the Warriors situation with Andrew Wiggins. Funny enough, those guys were traded for each other, but like the Warriors fans have been talking about, man, we gotta move on from Wiggins. That's how we get better. We gotta move on from Wiggins. Well, it's like, okay, but Wiggins is actually important to what you guys do. If you trade Wiggins, he's your best 3-and-D wing. How are you replacing that? Same thing with the Lakers. Oh, you're going to trade D'Lo. Well, he's your second best passer on the team. The last 2 years, he's been your best or second best shooter behind LeBron James, which is crazy to say about Bron, but he's been shooting the ball very well the last couple years. So you're just trading D'Lo, but are you addressing that need? Because AD needs that type of player next to him, in my opinion, to get the best out of AD. So I don't know, that is something the Lakers kind of have to reconcile, and that might be a reason why we see them just stand still every year, because it's like, okay, we get this player that might help AD, it might hurt LeBron, or vice versa. Like getting rid of D'Lo for Cam Johnson. In theory, right, Cam Johnson a better player in theory, right? But on a team that already lacks playmaking, you're gonna get rid of your second best playmaker to go get a shooter, right? A elite shooter in Cam Johnson. Not the greatest defender, a decent defender, an okay rebounder. Does that really help you that much more than D'Lo would? And again, in theory, that would be helping LeBron, right? Spacing the floor even more, getting another wing to help on defense. That also puts a lot more playmaking responsibility back on a 40-year-old LeBron James. So the Lakers are kind of in a tough spot where they might have to move on from one of them to see how they can build around the other one. And obviously at that point, you're probably building around AD. I'm not saying that is the way to go, but they are in that conundrum where these guys need different things to be the best version of themselves. And how do you operate around that? I don't know. Maybe you completely disagree. Maybe you think that whole thought process is entirely wrong. Sure. I just think we've seen over the last 4 years or so, it's hard to get players that fit Bron and AD. Now, what you do with that information is the hard part. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please drop a like, please comment, please subscribe. I'm out. Peace.